Oh.
Right.
That was a fun one.
Ruff has fancy armor, right? Like mithril or some shit.
It's good for 17 AC, and everybody was rolling above that until the later half of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not already enchanted, correct?
Beach.
No, it's
No.
not.
Like, oh, let's just wait for the monster to come in. I had all of Fox's life flash before my eyes. Fox has all of 23 fucking hit points.
Yeah, it has
Do that to them.
2 attacks at 2d6 plus 3.
Gotcha.
He had one turn.
There's definitely a world where I died in one fucking turn.
Yeah. Well, it's an animal intelligence, so it definitely was going off it was like the closest food at first, but then when he smacked it, I'm like, no, that would definitely redirect its attention. You wound a bear, it's gonna look at you.
Hey, look, I've got that opportunity attack, and I was just thinking, okay, if I back into that room, now I'm not gonna. I'll be able to attack it a second time. I wasn't really thinking about whether it would attack, who it would attack next. But
Yeah.
I know you guys are all squishy,
Yeah.
but I also hint can only absorb so much damage, so I have to like toward the end of that session, I had to start getting creative. Like, okay, I probably can't take any more hits. Let's see if I can wear this thing down.
Yeah. And you guys dealt with that, like, it only got one turn.
Oh, also, my ancestors help. So
Yeah.
anytime that I attack something,
Yeah, it would have got disadvantage.
and she would have had resistance to boot. Yeah, if I hit it first, it's not really a threat to you guys.
That is a fair point. Yeah, you basically get barbarian damage resistance if he's already attacked it.
Yeah, I was honestly asking, making sure that your armor wasn't enchanted because I could infuse it.
Yeah.
That would be awesome because
It would
it's
only
falling just
be
a little bit short.
it would only add +1. But,
Hey, 18. That's 5% fewer attacks that I get struck with. That's
Yeah.
especially where it's already a 17. That
Yeah.
means that I only have to deal with 10% of all rolls.
I
Yeah.
only have one infusion left right now because my one is an arcane focus, so I don't have to worry about freaking components.
Oh, dibs! Plus, I give you all that metal.
But yeah, so I can do enhanced defense or enhanced weapon. So I can do defense or offense. So, but
Either
both are
way,
just
it's a plus
+1.
one.
So I can +1 to armor class or +1 to
Attack.
attack and damage.
Yeah, with how much of a I don't think I've ever played a role where I've been this much of a damage sponge, and anything I can do to increase my longevity is definitely better. You guys are all just freaking lethal with your pistols and whatnot, so I'm not really worried about
I cast a
damage.
But yeah.
Yeah, no,
Become
we've got.
tank.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know.
We have a very unique party setup where it's like completely ranged but very high damage squishy people and one mid damage but very high defense guy.
Yeah. It's like, are you
And-
proficient with shields?
Yeah, and it's
Throw
difficult
that
for
on there too.
and it's kind of difficult for me to kind of like figure out how to balance through like everything trying to murder Gruff and like not murdering the rest of you instantly.
And if
I-
I'm smart, I can kind of kite, but
Yeah.
especially if it's just one big bad guy, as long
Yeah.
as I, keep that 10-foot distance,
Mhm.
I'm in good shape. But
Oh, it had reach as well.
Might be able to kite when we get a little further along. But for right now, Fox doesn't really have a lot of skills for kiting.
gotcha.
Yeah, and
Figuring out that Athena counts for the 5-foot
yeah.
thing.
That's
Growth
to
will
be
get a
used
little
to
bit more dangerous when we hit level 5.
Oh yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
big
I'm like,
mark.
the reason I
Yeah.
got excited when we saw the newts is because of this video. It lives in my mind rent free.
By the way, mentioning on a different campaign, because I had to bop out like right at the end of Heroes of Our Time, I did not intend for Tony to get that dark. That just kind of happened. With the whole remove your limbs from your body thing.
There have been a few points where I've been like, am I crossing the line? I mean, this is what Gruff would do, but it's some pretty fucked up shit.
Well, a lot of the times, like, I don't think about playing my character. It just kind of pours through me. That's just kind of how it works. I kind of liken it to almost possession sometimes. It's weird. So I don't always like so sometimes stuff will just like pop out while it's being the character, and this guy is like supposed to be like this super helpful, friendly, like Italian superhero or Italian American superhero dude from Brooklyn, and Bryn's character it was just it's basically we met someone who was very rude and then sort of threaten Bryn's character, who happened to be a 16-year-old child, and he's just like, I will remove the limbs from your body if you touch a hair on her head. And after I was thinking about that, it was like, whoa, I did not think Tony could go there.
Gruff for the routinely threatens to cut out tongues or to flay skin off people, so it's
Yeah.
Definitely...
Yeah, but he was like a mob enforcer, so that kind of fits. This is like a superhero who is like basically the epitome of like friendly neighborhood guy.
Oh, he's a paragon?
Yeah, but he's a folk hero.
Gotcha. Hey, quick question. Are we gonna... Do you know what we scored for loot and experience tonight, or is that gonna come later in the week?
I will roll loot later. I have the creatures up, but I would have to do math and add them all together.
Okay. Alright, should I add the... So should we make a note to in-game, like, do that thing to the armor?
You can probably just put that in now, because that's just
I
one
can
of
do it.
one of her abilities.
Yeah,
If you
I just
guys
threw
are
it out.
going
I
up,
wake up from a long rest and I'm like, that's enchanted now.
yeah. So she literally just needs to like have your armor for like an hour and just work on it.
Yeah, basically.
So that'd be like in between. You can do that between like the next scene or between when you next go down.
Alright.
We'll just make sure to mention that during the roleplay that's next session.
Yeah, I'll make a note here. And then there's one other thing that I wanted to ask.
Were there any opinions on Gib, on your first entity creature?
Oh my goodness, what even? I love it, but I'm just like, what even? In character, brain broken.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's not quite a being. Like, to put it in, like, kind of, like, your characters don't really know this, but kind of might. Where the gods and, like, a lot of beings like that are, like, creations of the gods, like the angels and demons, a lot of the fae, they are basically not made of flesh, they are made of magic.
Ah, yes, okay.
And there are like varying levels of that. Now, like everything that has a soul has some level of magic in it because the soul is magical. But yeah, so like beings like that, like angels, these kind of like entities, like a death, because each world within the multiverse kind of has its own manifestation, like a death, a grim reaper, or whatever that would be in that world, that would be kind of like that. But yeah, he's basically the first goblin. He's like the blue.
I'm making some jumps right here, but like the way he was talking.
Yeah, he's like the blueprint goblin. Like the gods like the god of goblins like made him as just like, all right, this is what I'm gonna do, and then mass produced.
Yeah.
So he's like the prototype blueprint of the
He's
goblin.
the goblin god, like we were
Yeah.
saying. Alright, I'm gonna head out.
More
for
like
the night.
Goblin Jesus,
Oh my god.
but
I'm gonna head out for the night.
yeah, everyone have a good night. I hope you had a fun time.
Yeah. Good night.
Nice.
All right.
Hey, Greg.
Yeah.
Let's see. Hold on. Okay, it's just gonna. Yeah, check the chat, man. I was trying to chat
oh.
you in-game, but
That is my bad. I didn't notice that. Yeah, we can do that.
awesome. All right, yeah, I'll make that change right now. Take off Sentinels and like it kind of there's a bit of overlap with Polar Master, so it's actually really hard to use. But GWM is
Mhm.
like one of my favorite feats, and it like it's really easy to use. So
Yeah, I'll let you use that. Especially since I've heard a lot about Sentinels and Polars being ridiculous.
oh what, like OP?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm not too worried about you guys being like too OP. That just means I can put more powerful things against you. Like I should have just gone with the 2 hook horrors, but I chickened out on that. But also, I was thinking it would take a long ass time to do that many as well. Like we would not have finished on time if you had to deal with 2 creatures with 77 hit points.
Well, there's that, and you are correct in that it may have been too much for Gruff. I don't mind if he dies though.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, you can always be. It's possible to stabilize you once you go down too.
well, that and you know, like even if he weren't stabilized, like I've lost characters. I never kill a character on purpose.
Yeah.
Like, and I love Gruff, but on the other hand, it's part of the game. And there's nothing like I do not like a game where there's no risk. Part
Yeah.
of what makes it fun is the risk of death.
Yeah, and
So-
you've had some risky encounters, but I didn't think you really had too many. Though you did get hit pretty hard by some lucky hits with the salamanders and the kobolds.
Yeah.
Especially
and,
when like they all just hit in their attacks at the same time, and they all like they did like a D4 plus 1, but they all hit, so it added up to like 14.
yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind it in the least bit. It's like part of the game, and that I don't think any character should be gods just because that
Yeah.
kind of ruins it.
Yeah.
It becomes
Oh, there's definitely should
listen.
be risk, but you guys are definitely like exceptional people. Like you're.
so yeah. When you're that's why when you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to do the -1 thing or the natural one, like ridiculous thing that happens. I'm like, nah, it's cool. Do it. You know,
Yeah, well, you're not the one with the guns, so it wouldn't affect
no,
you.
no, I'm not.
But I hadn't made it a thing with Oda, so it would just be unfair to bring it in just because Wisteria had a gun. Now that we had 2 guns, that would be kind of like backtracking a bit.
No, what I figured is that it would inadvertently hit an ally. Like
Yeah.
I figured since I'm the only one standing by this guy, it's probably the miss is going to be so bad they're going to strike me in the back and it's, you know, take some extra damage.
Yeah,
whatever.
that can be a thing for a fumble, but there's like stuff specifically for guns with like misfires and like the gun not operating properly. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Specific
So-
gun rules, like the thing explodes in your hand, it jams, there's a couple different things.
All right, cool. I just added Great Weapons Master. Ever seen it in action?
No, I don't think I have. I don't have a ton of experience in 5e.
Gotcha. It'll definitely add an element of heavy damage to Gruff,
Alright.
especially with enemies with lower ACs.
You have guys have a lot of heavy damage going on, and not a lot of defense. A lot of heavy damage and a decent amount of utility.
Yeah, and here's the thing about the Sentinel is that the The Sentinel only does well if I'm like standing shoulder to shoulder with a bunch of guys. And that's
Yeah.
not the case because everybody distance attacks except for me. So,
That's fair. That's a good point.
like one of it, it's like if a guy within 5 feet of me gets hit, I get an opportunity attack. It's like, well, that's never gonna happen because everybody's gonna be standing. Well, I mean, it happened in the here, but it's gonna be rare.
Yeah.
And so, and I'd rather just, like, it's basically a gamble. You subtract 5 from the hit to land 10 additional damage.
All right, so it's like a power attack.
Yeah. So where guys have high ACs, it's probably not the smartest risk, but where guys have low ACs and I can attack recklessly to give me advantage,
Mm-hmm.
the damage output gets to be pretty
Yeah,
ridiculous.
especially when you get stuff like that hook horror, which was like 15 AC but like 77 hit points.
Oh yeah, like there have been times that, and see, I like to. I'll probably at some point start crossing him a little bit with a fighter.
All right.
Because Battle Master with the Great Weapon Master is just devastating. I can hit like 30 freaking point attacks.
All right, but it has been since before the start of the session that I have had a cigarette, so I do need to make sure I do that, or I do need to do that. So we can, if you have more thoughts, we can text a bit throughout the night. But I gotta
Alright,
go.
sounds good. Yeah, I'm gonna hit
Alright.
the sack. I've got a couple brake pads to put on before the night's over, so I better get to getting.
All right, have a good one.
You too.